Hey gang, the way that we do church over the next 10 to 15 years has got to look different in some fundamental ways than the way we did church when we launched Generations back in 2004. Have I got your attention? Have I blown your mind yet? I don't think I need to tell you that culture, American culture, has radically changed from where it was back in the 1980s or even the early 2000s. The way that we consume media alone is radically different. And if you have kids or grandkids, you're getting a front row seat to the speed of that change. Now, I've said in other places that the gospel never changes, but the methods that we use to, quote, do church do change. When I look back over the long arc of my life and how I've interfaced with church, it has changed dramatically. I can remember the day when I showed up dressed in a suit and tie every single week, and when we sang out of a hymnal. A man, and it was a man back then, up front would tell us, turn to hymn number 484, and we would all flip through and find hymn number 484. And then I remember a season when it was an overhead projector, and there was somebody flipping a transparency on the top. Sometimes the words were the wrong way wrong, and we couldn't read them. And of course now there's integrated technology with screens and projection sent from a computer. The way that we sing corporately today is very different than the way we sang just 30 years ago. The methods have changed. The gospel doesn't change. In many ways, the story of Generations is the story of third-generation immigrants. Bear with me for a moment. 50, 60, 70 years ago, a couple arrives to the United States from Italy. They come for all the different reasons that people immigrate to the United States, but they speak Italian. They have kids here, and the kids that they have speak English fluently without an accent. They dress just like all of the other American kids in their neighborhood. They go to school with other American children. They want to push back or push aside any of the kinds of Italian markings or Italian trappings or cultural expressions that their parents have because they want to be completely American. Well, those kids then go on to become adults, and they have kids of their own. Those grandkids, the kids that they have, become naturally curious about Nana and Papi, the Italian grandparents, and they want to know the recipe for Gepino, and they want to know, hey Nana, can you say that phrase again in Italian? They're naturally curious. Gang, you've already displayed that kind of curiosity. When we started doing Energen services as we transitioned from kid stuff to what we do now, parents at Generations came to me and said, hey, Pastor Max, could we do communion on the Sunday when we're all together? I want to do communion on the Sunday when my kids are with me in the room. And then it was, hey, Pastor Max, I know this sounds weird, but I'm not really okay with my kids growing up and not having a setting where they're praying the Lord's Prayer regularly with other believers. Could we pray the Lord's Prayer when we're all together on those Sundays, on Energen Sundays? I want my kids to be able to pray that and experience that and know that when they become adults. Okay, so you've already been reaching into the past, into your larger Christian heritage, and been putting stuff into what we do now. So on Wednesday, February 16th, we're going to have our final conversation centered around the ideas of part 2 of this book, The Common Rule, by Justin Earley. Things like an hour of conversation with somebody every week, how you curate the media that you consume on a weekly basis, and then observing a Sabbath, either as a family or as an individual, and having that be part of your weekly rhythm of just how you live life. I'll post link to videos. You can either read part 2, you can watch the videos, but even if you don't do either one of those things, you should hop on and be part of this conversation, because these ideas are laying the groundwork and the common language that we will use to talk about some of the ways that we want to tweak and modify our congregational life to meet the challenges of our changing culture. Culture has changed, and some of the methodology that we use to make disciples, to worship, to cultivate community have to change a little bit as well. This is a tremendous opportunity. If you're part of the Generations family, I want to suggest something to you. You are not here by accident. You didn't just get plunked down here for what Generations can do for you. You got plunked down here as well for ways that you can help your church family become stronger, healthier, and help us carry the gospel to the next generation. I hope to see you Wednesday, February 16th, 7 p.m. on Zoom as we continue to take steps into 2022. I love you, gang.